If you would, rate yourself 0 to 10 on the organization of your shooting data. Things like, when did you purchase the firearm? What load does each rifle like? The round count down the barrel. 10 would be the highest. 10 is if you simply vanished off the face of the earth, would others be able to pick up right where you left off? A 0 would be you're not even sure where you left off. If you scored an 8 or lower, this video is for you. Welcome to Connect the Dots. This video is in response to an email from a gentleman asking how I organize all my shooting information. Granted, it's not the most exciting topic in the world. But it is pretty important. So the main question, who cares? Why do I need a system for organizing this data? Number one, this system can save hours in recreating forgotten data. If you are not repeating data, that means fewer components are being used, which means you are saving money and you're extending the life of the barrel. Number two, an organized system can make the transition when passing the firearm onto a new owner easier. And number three, probably the most important reason, is this system acts like a glue that holds all the other pieces of the precision puzzle together. For over a decade, I've been tweaking these forms. Each time I use them, I make small changes that make them just a little bit better. In the end, the goal of this video is for you to take bits and pieces of my system to create your own organizational plan that works best for you. If you don't already have an organizational system, there's no use in starting from scratch. In the description, there's a link to a written version of this video plus a blog titled Reproducibles. In that blog, you will find all the sheets that I used in this video. Simply download to your computer, then adjust to fit your style. Some people are saying,
you only need this because you're a competition shooter.
Well, yes, I do use this system for competition rifles that I use in the spring and the summer. But it's probably more important for the rifles that I use in the fall and the winter. Here's why. Competition rifles, I am constantly practicing, I'm constantly tuning, and I'm constantly competing with these rifles. Those repetitions make their information stick in my brain. Hunting rifles, I don't shoot near as often. For example, this is the 26 Macho. I shot this twice this year, once to check the zero and once at a deer. I have 15 rounds loaded for this rifle. I might not reload for this rifle again for 2 or 3 years. I need a system that I can trust later on. If you are enjoying this video, please hit the like and subscribe button. That will help Connect the Dots continue to grow and get better. There's a lot more information on my website, ctdshooting.com. Thanks for watching. Everything starts with a binder. I have binders for competition rifles, hunting rifles, muzzleloaders, shotguns, etc. At the front of every binder is my inventory. And I inventory complete firearms, actions, frames, barrels, and optics. If an item has a serial number, I make sure I list that serial number. Behind the inventory is my wishes if I should happen to pass away. My family and I have talked about this, but I can't expect them to remember what to do with every firearm that I own. Unfortunately, the older I get, the more I realize how important this piece of paper really is. Information for each firearm is placed inside the correct binder and then separated by dividers. At the front of the divider, I have a cover sheet. I actually have 2 different types of cover sheets. One is for firearms that shoot factory ammunition, and another cover sheet is for firearms that I hand load for. After the cover sheet, I have my drop charts, I have seating depth worksheets, and then I have all my load development targets. At the end, if I have anything else that's important for that firearm, such as receipts for when I bought it, or if I've had a gunsmith work on it, or aftermarket parts, all that information goes at the back of that divider. I'm guessing many of you already know about this, but in case you haven't heard, there's a publication out there called Handloader Magazine. Tons of great technical information and stories covering all types of reloading. This magazine is published bi-monthly, so you'll get 6 issues a year. They also have a YouTube channel called Handloader TV. There's a link in my description to check them out. For the remainder of this video, I will use my rifle sheets as examples. However, you can easily convert it to any firearm that you want. For level 1 rifles, which are factory rifles that shoot factory ammunition, I use the factory load cover sheet. Not a whole lot of explanation is needed as the information is pretty straightforward. Again, there is a link in the description to a blog titled Reproducibles where you can find all these sheets. The hand load cover sheet is used for rifles on rungs 2, 3, and 4 of the precision ladder. Much of the information is the same as the cartridge box information, which I'll get to in just a second. But there are some additional blanks that might be useful at some point. One of those is the notes section at the bottom. That's where I put which press the resizing die goes in and if there's any other loads that shoot well in this rifle. Hand-loaded ammunition is placed inside cartridge boxes, and each cartridge box has a cartridge box information sheet taped to the inside of the lid. There are quite a few abbreviations, so let's quickly go through those in case you want to use some of this system. The first one is the rifle, and that is basically the brand and the model of the action that I'm using. The next one is case color. I think coloring cases is a good way to keep batches of cases organized. I used to color the case head, but now I color the top of the extractor groove. The reason I do that is the color lasts longer and it doesn't get on my bolt face. Next one is the barrel, and that is the manufacturer and the chamber that I have cut into that barrel. C neck, that is the case neck dimension. Powder, that is the manufacturer and type of the powder that I'm using. And the grains, that is the current load that I'm shooting with the cases in that box. Next comes the bullet, that is the manufacturer, the type, and the ogive of the bullet. Primer, that's the manufacturer and type of primer I'm using. Depth, that's the seating depth of the bullet. .000 is the just touching mark. So I use a positive if I'm jamming or a negative if I'm jumping. B-O, that stands for base to ogive. I use a caliper with a bullet comparator. And then COL, that stands for cartridge overall length. I use a caliper to measure that. The next 6 items all go together. Bushing, that is simply the number that is printed on the outside of the bushing. B color, when I have multiple bushings, all with the same printed diameter, I'll give them an individual color. And then RCN, that stands for resized case neck. Using fresh and anneal brass, I will pick whatever bushing I'm using, resize it, and then using a micrometer, I will measure the dimension of that resized portion of the neck and then record it on a little cheat sheet that I have. The reason I do that is because bushings do not always resize what they say they will. This cheat sheet helps me keep them organized of what they actually resize to. OBM, that stands for over bullet measurement, and that is a very important measurement for what I do. The way I figure that out is I will find the fattest part of the bullet. I'll find the widest part, whether that's the pressure ring or the heel, wherever the widest part of the bullet is, and then I will stop that when I'm seating the bullet inside the resized portion of the neck. Now it's important to understand that that might not be the actual seating depth. That is simply the place for me to find out my OBM, my over bullet measurement. Clear, that stands for clearance, and the way I figure that out is I will take my over bullet measurement and I will subtract that from my case neck dimension. And what the number that I'm shooting for is 2/1000ths, but I'll accept anything from .0015 up to 3/1000ths. And then the last one is 10, and that stands for tension. And I will subtract the resized portion of the neck, the RCN, from the over bullet measurement. 3/1000ths is a good place to start, but the rifle will tell you what type of neck tension it wants. Hopefully this video gave you 1 or 2 ideas that you can add to your current system to make it a little bit better. or at the very least, made you think about how you organize your shooting data. It's important to develop a system that works for you and then work that system. Until next time, enjoy the experience.